episode number 3 of SA Music Industry Exploitation of Black Musicians. In this podcast, I'm going to try and let us understand why black musicians in South Africa are exploited by big recording companies. The first question is, why do local SA musicians die poor and in desperation? I will try and see if I can answer these questions as succinctly as I can. Firstly, there is no proper musician structure to develop local music talent other than a university degree that teaches students music. By this I mean learning about the theory and how to play a musical instruments. So the music business management of an artist is left out to the artist to figure out for themselves. And then secondly, the local musicians, about 99% of them, don't have a long-term career goal plan. For example, if the lifespan of a music career in South Africa lasts between 10 and 12 years, what happens to the artist after that? So it means the artist is left in the lurch. Also, the third point is local South African black musicians don't choose their career management team or company options carefully. Oftentimes, our musicians have a false assumption about the record company that gets them signed when making their music. Basically, they are restricted to their creative input is restricted and limited to making music for the local market, and they are not allowed to look beyond the South African borders. That is a problem. 4. Our local musicians seek instant fame more than plan their sustainable long-term career and potential future financial stability and sustainable residual income, which is short-sighted. They don't have a personal life skill coach to guide their destiny in their career as musicians. This means you cannot show any local musicians a course, a music course, or a motivational book or personal development plan to attend to on a monthly basis, which will reinforce their goals, to look into the future, to empower them to stay ahead of competition. There are no such leadership workshops and courses in the first place. And then also, they never learn from history to avoid making the same mistake. The past history of South African musicians, living or dead, is not very exciting or inspirational from the point of view of encouraging anyone to become a musician in order to retire wealthy. The perception is to become a temporary popular artist, whereas the majority die poor and desperate, or even try to make ends meet if they are alive. They don't have the right mindset and the proper understanding of how the industry works. Also, few, if any, take the time to study and compare how the industry operates worldwide or locally in order to protect their music assets and copyrights to enjoy the rewards of selling their catalog when they retire. Nor do they have, or if they have to pass that asset to their estate and legacy if they die. Also, the South African government does not have a proper mechanism to protect local artists from pirating of their music in Africa. It is not in the interest of our government to do anything tangible because the music business is a long-term income generating mechanism. Besides, its dynamic structure is cumbersome to understand or even begin to invest time and money in it, due to the fact that its organic development and changing facades doesn't guarantee the government security to make it profitable like tenders. It means it is more individual based than corporate based for most artists or bands, so the government does not take interest in it. So why should they protect the local musicians? That is trying to answer the first question. While we all know the case studies of how our music by corporations, we have case studies of Mahlatini and the Mahotela Queens, Sinyaka, Brenda Fassie, Funky Muhapi, the list goes on. I don't even have to mention some of those musicians, and they were great musicians. They were exploited badly and they never benefited from signing those contracts with big corporations. Question number 2. When will local South African musicians begin to learn new business skills to protect their musical assets? Again, I'll try to see if I can answer some of those questions. The first one is South African black folks or black musicians are not properly organized to learn the business skill of music. In other words, they have to wait for a white company to come up with a structure and then they will pursue the structure. They have to organize themselves first. I'm not talking about the musicians union. The musicians union seems to be organized. I'm talking about skilling them, meaning we need to have proper musicians knowing how to play an instrument or read or write music, not necessarily DJing the music. The music industry is very organic. We need to learn these skills and master them. We cannot replace musicians who can read and write. They are paramount to the foundation of creating music. We need producers who need to know how to create a music score for a film. The South African musicians, black folks in particular, are lazy to challenge international markets like Lira is attempting to do. They just want to rely on quick fixes or instant bubblegum music, which will only end up local and not overseas. South African musicians are terrible copycats and fail to be original. In other words, they don't come up with their own original concept purely because they are programmed by their local music corporate companies to produce for local, and therefore they don't look beyond the four walls of South Africa and finding new ways to create music beyond South African, in the context of South African local, is like a music mindset. So the South African black music folks or musicians can only succeed if they reinvent their talent and skills with creative management companies who are willing to break the boundaries of conformity. Last but not least, the South African black musicians don't have a clear long-term vision of what they really want to accomplish from their music career. So it means they are all over the show. Case studies, if you study the legacy of Motown music, the Top, the Sounds of Philadelphia, the Beatles, Earth, Wind and Fire, the Jackson 5, they had a long lifespan in their music, some of it 40 in career. But also the music industry in South Africa, the consumption or the market is very, very small. You are talking about a very limited population. So we need to expand our wings and look beyond the South African borders. The third question would be, is there a solution? Solution for what? For the problems that I've mentioned above, arising out of those two questions that I asked. Is there a solution to change our local musicians' thinking to seek alternative incomes when they retire? The answer is yes, there is. There are solutions, provided we engage and prepare to build our legacies on strong foundations of 1. Hard work, research, creativity, patience. Find short-term alternative income options and be steadfast to the long-term vision. A vision is something that every artist needs to define themselves, where their strength is and where their weaknesses lie. However, we have a label called Summerview Music Artist Management. If you get bandwagon, you get published, but you need to qualify to join our label. And in order to join that label, you must have a pre-recorded music with lyrics or instrumental. You must own the copyright of the music or the sound. You can be a band or a singer represented by a manager. You must have done live gigs and have a following on social media. You must also attend one of our music development courses in Midrand. You must be prepared to sign our promotional contract to manage your music. In terms of recording and creating music, we leave that to the individual band or musicians. They need to find their creativity in a studio somewhere And then once they come to us, they must have a pre-recorded music, and this music must be approved by one of our A&R manager. The Summer Blue label is an international label that can do several things: to publish your music internationally, promote your music to international music supervisors, to exploit your music and expose it to advertising agents, to register your music for international copyright, to seek to license your music to TV and film productions, and then find alternative platforms for potential royalties. But over and above that, Summer Blue Music has training courses for musicians. These are development courses: how to manage your music career like a business, how to find a professional business agent or manager, keeping and managing your finance as a music artist, life after music career planning for retirement, investing your royalties in other ventures so that when you retire, you are able to move on to the next level. So Summer Blue is looking for South African original music and musicians to represent overseas and promote. This would be the category of hip hop, pop, mbacanga, scatamia, soul music, Afro jazz, African music, and then fusion. We are also looking for podcasts in education, music, media trends, music news, and then music events. If you are one of those guys who want to challenge convention and try other avenues, you can join Summer Blue Music Publishing by WhatsApping us on 0642791921. We can also give you reasonable quotes for our services in music copyright and registration and CD submission for international registration, music licensing services, track registration. We can also give you quotes on business podcasting and recording. Registration. We can also do advertising of jingles. If you want to create a jingle, we can help you with jingle creation. Music catalog management, a minimum of at least 10 tracks, which is one album, and then music trust managers and estate planning. We can give you quotes on that. Just to review and see one of our artists, which is, you can visit Deezer, www.deezer.com, or artist's latest album. You can search the album by artist name, which is Blue Jay. The record label is Summer Blue Music, and the album's name is Once in a Lifetime Rock, and the date of the release was 2016 April. I think 2016 or 2017 April. Having said that, I hope you have enjoyed listening to my podcast, episode number 3, SA Music Industry Exploitation of Black Musicians. So you can subscribe and join. You can also listen to us on SoundCloud. Just go to SoundCloud and then search for Bra Ike. There are lots of podcasts. Thank you very much for listening and have a good day. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, as well as YouTube. Cheers. Have a good day.